In retrospect, what appeared to be a routine job interview would prove to be a pivotal moment in three interconnected lives. The morning sun, streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the corporate office, cast long shadows across the glass table, shadows that seemed to reach toward the future while simultaneously anchoring the present to fragments of the past. Tom, having navigated the labyrinthine path that led him to this moment, sat poised in the ergonomic chair, his reflection fragmenting across the pristine glass surface before him. While ostensibly prepared for a professional discussion about career trajectories and technical competencies, he found himself increasingly aware that beneath the surface lay something far more profound, a convergence of aspirations, experiences, and unspoken understanding. Mr. Gray, whose distinguished career spanning 3 decades had honed his ability to discern potential from pretense, observed the young candidate with measured curiosity. The light catching his silver hair created an almost ethereal halo effect, lending gravitas to his carefully chosen words. "In your application," he began, adjusting his light blue tie with deliberate precision, "you mentioned a paradigm shift in your approach to problem solving. Could you elaborate on that transformation?" The question, while seemingly straightforward, carried layers of meaning that resonated with Ms. White, who had been contemplating her own professional metamorphosis while organizing documents in her black folder. Had circumstances been different 3 years ago, she might have been sitting where Tom sat now, equally uncertain of the future yet determined to forge ahead. "The conventional wisdom," Tom began, choosing his words with meticulous care, "suggests that professional growth follows a linear progression. However, my experience has revealed a more nuanced reality." He paused, gathering his thoughts as the morning light played across the glass table, creating prismatic patterns that seemed to underscore the complexity of his response. "I've come to understand that innovation often emerges from the intersection of seemingly disparate elements," he continued. "Much like this office, where traditional professionalism meets contemporary design, the most valuable solutions often arise from bridging different perspectives." Ms. White found herself nodding imperceptibly, her blonde hair catching the light as she recognized the underlying wisdom in Tom's observation. Her own journey had taught her that success in the modern corporate landscape required more than just technical proficiency. It demanded an almost philosophical understanding of how various elements interconnected. "That's an intriguing analogy," Mr. Gray remarked, removing his blue glasses and placing them thoughtfully beside his smartphone. "But how would you apply this theoretical framework to practical challenges? For instance, if you had been faced with our company's recent technological transition." The question hung in the air like morning mist, its hypothetical nature belying its practical significance. Tom, drawing upon his reservoir of experience, recognized this as more than just a professional inquiry. It was an invitation to demonstrate his ability to navigate complexity while maintaining clarity of purpose. "Innovation without foundation is like building castles in the air," Tom responded, the metaphor flowing naturally from his understanding of the company's history. "Had I been part of that transition, I would have approached it as an evolutionary process rather than a revolutionary one. The key lies not in dismantling existing systems, but in understanding how they can be enhanced and transformed while preserving their core value." Ms. White exchanged a meaningful glance with Mr. Gray, both recognizing the parallels between Tom's philosophy and their own organization's ethos. The company's journey from a small startup to its current position of influence had been marked by similar principles, a delicate balance between preservation and progress, tradition and innovation. The conversation evolved organically, touching upon topics ranging from technological advancement to organizational dynamics. Throughout the discussion, subtle undertones of cultural awareness and professional insight wove themselves into the fabric of the exchange, creating a tapestry of shared understanding. "In your experience," Ms. White inquired, her voice carrying the weight of personal reflection, "how has the increasing digitalization of workplace interactions affected the human element of professional relationships?" The question struck at the heart of a contemporary dilemma, one that resonated particularly strongly in their current setting, where the sleek glass table and modern amenities stood in stark contrast to the fundamentally human nature of their interaction. Tom considered the question carefully, aware that his response would reveal not just his professional perspective but his understanding of the delicate equilibrium between progress and preservation. "Technology," he began, "should serve as a bridge, not a barrier. While digital tools have revolutionized how we work, they shouldn't overshadow the importance of genuine human connection." Mr. Gray nodded approvingly, his expression suggesting that Tom's response had struck a chord. Having witnessed the evolution of workplace dynamics throughout his career, he appreciated the wisdom in maintaining a balance between technological efficiency and human authenticity. As the interview progressed, the conversation deepened, revealing layers of complexity beneath seemingly simple exchanges. Each question and response carried multiple meanings, like ripples expanding across a still pond, touching upon themes of personal growth, professional evolution, and the eternal dance between tradition and innovation. The morning light, now stronger, cast distinctive shadows through the windows, creating an ever-shifting pattern across the office. This visual metamorphosis seemed to mirror the transformation occurring within the room, a gradual shift from formal interview to meaningful dialogue. "If you could architect the future of workplace interaction," Mr. Gray posed, his tone suggesting both curiosity and challenge, "how would you balance the demands of technological progress with the preservation of human connection?" Tom's response emerged naturally, informed by both experience and insight. "The future workplace, in my vision, would be like this office, a space where transparency meets substance, where modern efficiency enhances rather than replaces human interaction." Had we focused solely on digital advancement without considering its human impact, we might have gained in productivity but lost something far more valuable. Ms. White, who had been documenting the conversation in her black folder, paused to reflect on the broader implications of Tom's perspective. Her own role within the company had evolved from purely technical to increasingly interpersonal, a transformation that echoed the very principles being discussed. As the interview drew to a close, the morning sun had reached its zenith, flooding the office with brilliant light that seemed to illuminate not just the physical space but the shared understanding that had developed over the course of their conversation. The glass table, which had initially served as a barrier between interviewer and candidate, had transformed into a bridge, a surface reflecting their common aspirations and mutual respect. "Thank you for sharing your insights with us today," Mr. Gray said, rising from his chair with deliberate grace. "Your perspective on the intersection between human interaction and technological advancement is particularly relevant to our current organizational direction." Ms. White added her own observations, her words carrying the weight of personal experience. "Your approach to balancing innovation with tradition resonates strongly with our company's values." We'll be in touch by the end of the week with our decision. As Tom prepared to leave, he felt a sense of completion that transcended the typical post-interview relief. The conversation had evolved beyond a mere professional assessment into a meaningful exchange of ideas and perspectives. The morning light, still streaming through the windows, cast long shadows that seemed to point toward future possibilities. Behind him, Mr. Gray and Ms. White shared a moment of silent communication, their experienced eyes reflecting a shared appreciation for the depth of understanding demonstrated during the interview. The glass table captured their reflections one final time, three professionals whose paths had converged in this moment of mutual discovery and potential transformation.